Mishpacha, Rabbi Esther from a small sanctuary here. And this is my last high holiday video for the year. And I'm kind of excited because I'm looking back on a year-long YouTubing journey and I've learned a lot and I've made a lot of new friends, and it's just been great building up this little micro community we have here on a small sanctuary. I'm grateful for all of your comments, your love, your support, your discussions, your insights, your experiences. It's been really wonderful exploring this new side of my rabbinate. Last year, one of the first videos I did was on the Veye'etayu, this piyyutim, this high holiday prayer that we sing in the Musaf service on Rosh haShanah and Yom Kippur, which extols God's sovereignty over all of humanity. And it led into a discussion on universalism and particularism. That video is still worthwhile, and I will link it below, so make sure you check it out. But what I want to do today is actually re-record the song. And instead of me talking through the implications and the balance between universalism and particularism, I want to read an essay that I wrote quite a few years ago when I was younger and newer on my rabbinic journey. But I think the contents really still help us frame and think through the question of our place in the world. The essay is about chosenness, and chosenness implicitly is a theme that comes up in a lot of the high holiday liturgy, and it talks about finding this balance between particularism and universalism, between saying we stand for ourselves and we also share with others. So I will share that a little later with you. What I want to do now is share my English language rendition of the Veye'etayu like I did last year. The melody is my own, I composed it, and the lyrics, depending which siddur you consult, are a poetic adaptation of the original Hebrew by Israel Zangwill. And there are two versions in the two Machzorim that I use. There is a version in Machzor Lev Shalem, which you can find on page 150. There is a shorter version in Mishkan haNefesh, which you can find on page 201. These Machzorim, these high holiday prayer books, are the conservative movement and the reform movement respectively. So without further ado, I am going to sing two versions of this song, and you can choose whichever you like and enjoy it through this sacred season. And then afterwards I will read my essay to deepen your connection to the universalist themes of the high holidays. Thank you for being with me on this journey. Wishing you Shana Tova Umetuka, a very sweet new year. May we all be inscribed in the book of life. All the World, words by Israel Zangwill from Machzor Lev Shalem, page 150. All the world shall come to serve thee and praise thy glorious name, and thy righteousness triumphant the island shall acclaim, and nations shall give thee homage who knew thee not before, and the ends of earth shall praise thee. Thy name they shall, thy name they shall, thy name they shall adore. They shall build for thee their altars, their idols overthrown, and their hands shall clasp in friendship as they turn to thee alone. They shall bow before thy grandeur and know thy kingdom's might. They shall walk in understanding those who are astray, those who are astray, those who are astray in the night. V'yitnu lecha, v'yitnu lecha, v'yitnu lecha, exult in thy greatness, and of thy power speak, and extol thee shrine uplifted beyond man's highest peak, and with reverential homage in love and wonder born, with a ruler's crown of beauty, thy head they shall adore. Vitnu lecha, vitnu lecha, vitnu lecha, keteblucha. With the coming of thy kingdom, the hills shall break into song, and the highlands laugh exultant that they to God belong, and their congregation so loud thy praise shall sing, that faraway peoples hearing shall come and hail, shall come and hail, shall come and hail thee, King. Vitnu lecha, vitnu lecha, vitnu lecha, keteblucha. The second version in Machzor Mishkan haNefesh, page 201. I am slotting in the chorus Vitnu lecha keteblucha because it is not reflected in the original, but it retains the consistency of the song. May all be moved to serve you, praise your presence and bless your name, your splendor and your justice, sea and land shall then proclaim. Let us seek your face at sunrise, in the darkness teach your ways. May your power and uniqueness be the essence of the essence of the essence of our days. When we speak about your glory, when we praise you for your mind, those who'll hear will feel your presence, turn from darkness to the light. Let's seek most first exultant hills, embrace you with joyful sounds. When all people sing together, the world shall see, the world shall see, the world shall see your sovereign crown. Vitnu lecha, vitnu lecha, vitnu lecha, keteblucha. Chosenness. In a world where fast-paced images of political conflict and oppressive religion bombard the many screens in our lives, we as progressive Jews are challenged to ask hard questions and live with a profound sense of discomfort. How do we respond to the values of our own religious and ethical traditions? Claims of absolute truth, mission, and chosenness should make us feel uncomfortable. But they can also prompt us to think deeply about our place in the world. What does being and doing Jewish mean in a world as colorful yet torn as ours? What is our sense of purpose and mission? Who belongs to our community? Who is in and who is out? Is it good modestly to turn inward, or better, boldly to step outwards? Looking at notions of chosenness and covenant may help us come to some meaningful conclusions. Chosenness in the biblical and rabbinic tradition is not a stand-alone concept designed to affirm our superiority. It is always seen as relational, covenantal, and conditional. It requires emotional investment, trust, and a sense of self-criticism. We aren't perfect or expected to be, but we have something to share and give. We are called upon to be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation, even though we are the smallest of the peoples. And likewise, we are enjoined not to be self-congratulatory. The prophet Amos reminds us both of the exacting moral standard chosenness implies. You alone I have singled out of all the families of the earth. That is why I will call you to account for all your iniquities. As well as the realization that God's covenant with Israel does not preclude divine covenants with other peoples. To me, O Israelites, you are just like the Ethiopians, declares the Eternal. True, I brought Israel up from the land of Egypt, but also the Philistines from Kaftor and the Arameans from Kir. This powerful idea of God's multiple covenants and relationships with all peoples is reflected in the rabbinic tradition through the famous statement, "The righteous of all the nations shall have a share in the world to come." Chosenness, then, is not about superiority or ultimate truth, but about deep spiritual intimacy, obligation, and relationship, and encourages us to ask ourselves in the immediacy and intimacy of our own Jewish lives. What does being Jewish mean? What does being in relationship with God entail? And what can it bring to my world? In the early modern era, the concept of chosenness started to be challenged and redefined by progressive and liberal Jewish thinkers. In a more open and democratic society where the walls of the ghettos came down, chosenness became less of a matter of cultural distinction and more of a matter of moral mission. Perhaps one of the boldest proclaimers of this sense of mission is Rabbi Leo Beck, who suggested in a lecture in 1949, "Mankind is hungry and thirsty for that which Judaism can say, what Jews full of Judaism can say," teaching us the fine balance between universalism, mankind is hungry, and particularism, Jews full of Judaism. Inspired by the prophetic injunction to be a light unto the nations, liberal Judaism emphasizes our calling as Jews to be the bearers of ethical monotheism in the world, a concept that finds expression in Tikkun Olam, repairing the world, as well as affirming choice and pluralism of both Jews and non-Jews. We are proud to embrace our uniqueness and particularism through love of ritual and tradition, Israel, the Hebrew language, Jewish culture, and our sacred texts. In many cases, progressive Jews have reclaimed traditional practices of Judaism for compelling contemporary reasons, because they give us meaning, belonging, and community, and lead us down a path of both shared history and individual transformation. To do away with chosenness would be just as dangerous as to embrace it uncritically. Growth and insight lies in the creative tension where we, like Yisrael on the banks of the river, have to wrestle with the divine imperative of the Hebrew Bible and the rabbinic tradition, not to mention what we as individual Jews may believe or not believe about God. Chosenness and covenant can actually help us shape a progressive Judaism that is both authentic and dynamic. Chosenness places the individual Jew among his or her sense of history and connectedness, balances universalism and particularism, unifies mission with pluralism. One cannot exist without the other. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Who has chosen us from among all the nations and who has given us the Torah. This is the blessing we recite upon receiving an aliyah, a call up to the Torah. The blessing reminds us that we have a special destiny in our world, not one based on ethnic pride or cultural superiority, but a mission that can only be fulfilled under the banner of diversity. We are a voice in the symphony of humanity. Each culture and religion has its place, both in the marketplace of ideas as well as in the divine relationship, and we can learn just as much from others as we can share with them. In fact, one could argue that chosenness from a progressive Jewish perspective can help protect us against a false universalism of ultimate truth claims that negate the dignity of other worldviews or faith traditions. The blessing also reminds us that chosenness is contingent on the Torah and how we live the values of the Torah as liberal Jews in the broadest sense of the word. The Aleinu prayer states, Letaken olam b'malchut Shaddai, to repair the world under the kingdom of the Almighty. Within our lives, our communities, our societies, and our world, our mission as progressive Jews awaits us. We can be bold in our vision for redemption and justice, to assert the ancient yet ever-relevant Jewish message of ethical monotheism, that we are all created equally in the divine image. At the same time, we can be gentle in how we advocate and share that vision, not through power, not through might, but through a spirit of integrity, mutual respect, and an ever-ongoing, loving yet critical conversation, both with our own tradition and the world entire. So, when we as progressive Jews are confronted with the fast-paced images of a world on fire, we can brace ourselves for the role we can play, to raise our voice in the marketplace of ideas and speak for justice, for pluralism, and for humanity. Our covenant demands it of us. Thank you for joining me today. Wishing you the sweetest and the happiest of New Year's. Happy 5784, my dear friends. With blessings of peace and love, renewal, introspection and return, growth, coming closer to the divine and coming closer to our holy Torah and our people. Shalom uvracha, with peace and blessings from my bayit to your bayit.